In addition to using backups, you can use the previous versions features in Windows to revert files to an earlier state. Previous versions is also called shadow copies. The first step in using previous versions is to enable it on your computer. Let's go to Start, Computer, right-click My Computer and choose Properties, and then System Protection. In Windows Vista, previous versions is actually part of System Restore. Regular snapshots that are taken and used for restore points are also used for shadow copy restore points. Notice that by default, System Restore, and therefore shadow copies, is only enabled on the C drive and for all data on that drive. To use shadow copies on other drives, you must select the drives where you want to enable and use shadow copies, and apply. The next step is to actually create a restore point. Notice that currently I do not have a restore point created. In order to revert back to a previous copy of a file, I need to have one or more restore points. These restore points contain the previous versions of the files that are saved on these checked volumes. So let's just create a restore point now. So that I can capture the current configuration of the files on these other volumes. Okay, and the restore point was created successfully. By default, a restore point will be taken once a day, which means that snapshots of files will be taken once a day. Subsequent restore points will record only the changes from this initial restore point. Let's go to the file system now and let's see how previous versions works. Let's go to the data drive, and I have a couple of files here. Let me open this file and make a few changes. And let me save my changes. I'll close that down. And I'll open it up again. Let's say I come back an hour later and I decide I want to make some more changes. And just to do something else, let me take file number 2 here, and let's delete that file. Now suppose it's later in the day and I suddenly decide that rather than have the file with these changes, I want to go back and see the file before I started to make my changes. I can use previous versions to look at the file in its original state at the time during the last restore point. To see a previous version, you right-click the file, choose Properties, and then go to the Previous Versions tab. And this tab will list all the previous versions of this file that exist. Currently, there is only one previous version. I can select the file I want to see and choose Open. And the file will open using the copy from the shadow copy and not the copy that currently exists on disk. If I choose Copy, I have the chance to save the file to a different location. Or if I choose Restore, I can restore the file from the previous version and overwrite the existing file. Now when I open the file, my changes have disappeared because I have restored the original copy of the file over the changes that I had made. Now let's say that I'd like to get the deleted file back, but I have a problem. I can't actually see the file, so I can't right-click on the file and choose a previous version. What I do in that case is go to the parent directory or volume for the file that I want to view. I'll right-click that and choose Properties, and go to the Previous Versions tab. Here I have a previous version of the E volume as it existed when the shadow copy was taken. If I open this volume, I can browse and see the files that exist within that system snapshot. So on disk, currently, I have only file 1 because file 2 has been deleted. But when I go back and look at the previous versions, file number 2 still exists because it was within that snapshot. Again, from here I can open the file, or I can copy the file back to the file system. So as you can see, using previous versions is an easy way to recover files that have been deleted or accidentally modified. Viewing previous versions of files is as simple as right-clicking the file and looking at its properties, and using the Previous Versions tab to find previous versions that exist for the file. Recovering files using previous versions is often faster than trying to recover individual files from a data backup.